What if I told you that everything you're chasing is already chasing you? You're just blocking it. This book unlocked what years of struggle couldn't. This is not just a book. It's a portal to the life you've been praying for. In a world full of chaos, distractions, and doubts, one book is quietly transforming lives across the globe. Manifest and Receive by Eva Hartley isn't just another law of attraction manual. It's a spiritual wake-up call. Whether you want financial freedom, true love, inner peace, or purpose, this video breaks down the essence of that transformation. Stick around, because your next breakthrough may be one belief away. Today we dive into 13 life-changing truths from Manifest and Receive by Eva Hartley, a book that holds the power to transform your life forever, because if you embody these principles, everything you desire won't just be possible, it will become inevitable. Number 1. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. These words are simple on the surface, yet when you sit in silence and truly feel them, they carry the weight of a lifetime's truth, one that Eva Hartley pours into the pages of her book like a sacred whisper from the soul. Most people go through life thinking that desire alone is the driver of destiny, that if they want something bad enough, success, love, peace, healing, the sheer intensity of that wanting will somehow pull it toward them like metal to a magnet. But this belief is not only flawed, it is the very reason many people never receive the things they cry for at night or daydream about in silence. Because wanting is not attracting, is not deciding, is not wanting. In fact, often means you are reinforcing the absence of what you desire. When you say, I want love, you are unconsciously affirming that love is missing. When you say, I want success, you are declaring to the universe that you're still without it. So the vibration you are emitting is not one of fulfillment, but of lack, of emptiness, of yearning, of being incomplete. The universe, like an echo chamber, does not respond to the words you speak, but to the energy you carry. It hears not your wishes, but your frequency. This is where Eva Hartley shifts the entire paradigm. She teaches that manifestation is not about begging or convincing the universe to give you something. It is about becoming the version of yourself who already has it, thinks from it, lives in it. You must embody the state of already being that which you desire to receive. This is not mere positive thinking. This is energetic identity. You can't cheat this system. You can't fake it with words while secretly vibrating with fear, doubt, jealousy, or scarcity. You become a match, not by forcing results, but by shifting your inner reality. Want a different life? Become a different version of yourself. One that aligns not with the pain of your past, but the peace of your potential. When you become abundance, abundance finds you. When you become love, love is drawn to you. Now, today we are going to continue. When you become peace, your chaos dissolves. It's no longer about saying the right affirmations at 6 a.m. or journaling your dreams with scented candles. It's about recalibrating your energy field, moment by moment, into coherence with what you claim to want. Eva often uses the analogy of a radio tower. Every emotion, every thought, every belief you hold is a broadcast frequency. If you're tuned to 88.7 FM, but your dream life is broadcasting at 104.3, it doesn't matter how loudly you scream into the sky. You won't hear the song unless you shift your frequency. That's why so many people give up on manifestation and say, it doesn't work. But it's not the principle that's broken. It's the user that's misaligned. So how do you realign? So you sow Say you broke your way to the moon. The same day you realign, first you get radically honest. Who are you? Really? In the quiet of your own mind. What do you believe you deserve deep down when no one's watching? Because your outer life is a mirror of your inner patterns. Eva invites us to observe our emotional default settings. Do you walk through the world in gratitude or resentment? Do you assume things will work out or that everything always goes wrong? Your assumptions aren't harmless thoughts, they are energetic blueprints. The universe is not biased toward good or bad. It simply reflects your dominant vibration. That's why people who always expect miracles often receive them, and those who expect betrayal often attract it again and again. It's not because they're lucky or cursed. It's because their inner self-pigment acts like a magnet. You're not getting what you want, you're getting who you are. And that's both the warning and the breakthrough. Because once you realize this, you're no longer a victim of circumstance, but a conscious co-creator of your life. You begin to walk differently. You begin to speak from certainty instead of desperation. You don't hope for love, you embody the vibration of being loved and lovable. You don't hustle for validation, you stand in your worth as someone who already has value. You stop begging life to be kind to you, and instead, you start treating yourself with such kindness and respect that the world has no choice but to mirror it. Eva reminds us that the inner world and outer world are not two. They are reflections. And you can't fake who you are to the mirror. It will always show you back your true face. So if you desire abundance, become someone who feels safe with money, not afraid of it. If you desire healing, stop identifying as broken. If you want better relationships, stop carrying the identity of someone who is always abandoned. Start rewriting the script in your soul, not just in your mouth. Because energy doesn't lie, and neither does the universe. It will meet you not at your level of need, but at your level of self-identity. The great secret is this: when you raise your frequency to match your desire, the desire no longer feels far. It feels inevitable. That's how manifestation works, not as a trick of chance, but as a spiritual equation. Your being equals your receiving. And this doesn't happen overnight. You will have to confront the deepest wounds of unworthiness. You'll have to unlearn decades of survival-based thinking. You'll have to stretch into new emotional ranges, where joy no longer feels foreign and safety is no longer tied to suffering. And safety is no longer tied to suffering. This is not easy work, but it is sacred work. And it is the only path that truly transforms. Because nothing around you can shift until the energy within you does. You'll notice this when you begin to vibrate higher. Suddenly, people who once ignored you now respect you. Opportunities that were once locked shut now open with ease. Why? Because you've changed the magnet. You've updated your signal. You're no longer saying, please pick me, but radiating, I know who I am. And the world moves in response to that kind of clarity. You'll stop needing things so badly, and ironically, that's when they start flowing in. You'll stop checking the clock and the calendar because you're no longer in a rush. You trust the process. You become calm, grounded, centered, and from that state, all things begin to move toward you. You may lose some people, yes. You may outgrow certain environments. That's the price of becoming. But you'll gain yourself. And from that inner gain, outer riches flow. That's what Eva Hartley's message truly means. Manifestation isn't about getting things. It's about returning to who you were before you were told you weren't enough. It's about peeling away the masks, shedding the fear, healing the scarcity, and choosing again and again to be the version of you that matches the life you dream about. It's no longer about chasing, it's about becoming. And once you become it, truly, deeply, consistently, you don't have to force anything. You simply receive. Because now you are the magnet. Number 2, desperation blocks reception. There is a quiet force that repels blessings faster than any curse. A silent energy that pushes away the very things you pray for, and that force is desperation. Desperation is not just a feeling, it is a vibration, an energy signature that screams to the universe, I do not believe I will receive. It is rooted not in faith, but in fear, not in alignment, but in panic. Eva Hartley teaches this profound truth with piercing clarity. The moment you begin to beg, plead, and chase what you want, you shift out of the energy of magnetism and into the energy of resistance. Desperation is not passion, it is not desire, it is lack, disguised as intensity. It tells the universe that you believe the thing you desire is far, unavailable, withheld, or worse, impossible. And so, your energy becomes out of sync with the frequency of receiving. Imagine standing in a field and shouting at the sky for rain, screaming louder and louder, panicking that it may never come. And all the while, the clouds hover quietly, waiting for your stillness, your trust, your surrender, so they can pour. This is how life responds to us. The louder your internal chaos, the slower the manifestation arrives. And the tragedy is, so many people confuse desperation with devotion. Confuse desperation with devotion. They say, I've wanted this so bad, for so long, why hasn't it come? But what they don't realize is that the very neediness of their wanting is sending out a signal of energetic unworthiness. The universe reads your signal, not your sentences. And when your signal is soaked in fear, anxiety, and time-based urgency, you unintentionally affirm that what you want is separate from you, beyond you, maybe even above you. Desperation operates from a place of inner poverty. It says, if I don't get this, I am not whole, I am not safe, I am not enough. And so your entire being becomes a repelling force, not because you're unworthy, but because your energy is distorted. Eva Hartley reveals that the path to reception is not through control or clinging, but through calmness and certainty. To receive what you want, you must become the person who would naturally have it. And that person is never desperate. 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 That person is aligned. That person is steady. That person trusts. Think about it. The most magnetic people you've ever met weren't the ones begging for attention. They were the ones who knew their worth, who walked in rooms like they belonged there, who expected goodness and therefore attracted it. Their secret wasn't arrogance, it was alignment. The same is true for everything you're trying to manifest. Whether it's love, wealth, healing, or opportunity, it cannot land in a space of energetic chaos. It cannot bloom in soil drenched in self-doubt. When you're desperate, you suffocate the process. You hold the dream so tightly that you squeeze the life out of it. You constantly check if it's coming, when it's coming, how it's coming, and every time you do, you emit a vibration of distrust. You're saying to the universe, I don't believe it's on its way, so I must keep checking. And when you do that, you cannot bloom and end up saying to the universe, I don't believe it's on its way, so I must keep checking. But just like a watched pot never boils, a constantly doubted manifestation never arrives. Eva explains that true receiving happens in the state of detachment. Not detachment from the desire, but from the outcome. It is the sacred in-between space, where you can deeply want something while also being at peace if it doesn't arrive on your timeline. That's not passivity, that's power. Because when you release the grip of desperation, you make room for destiny. You become an open vessel instead of a clenched fist. You shift from please let it come to of course it's coming. And in that shift, everything begins to move. Desperation also lowers your self-perception. When you chase love with desperation, you accept crumbs. When you chase money with desperation, you make poor decisions. When you chase validation with desperation, you lose yourself. It is a hunger that cannot be fed, because its root is not the absence of things, but the absence of trust. Eva calls this the starvation of the soul, where you are so empty inside that you look to the outside world to fill you, but you're so frantic in that search that everything keeps slipping through your hands. That's why some people attract a little success and then lose it, or find a little love only to sabotage it. Because desperation creates instability. It cannot hold what it catches, like water in shaking hands. So, what's the solution? You slow down. You regulate your nervous system. You ground your body. You remind yourself, what is mine is already finding me. I don't need to chase it. I need to align with it. You stop performing and start becoming. You stop asking, when will it come? And start affirming, I am becoming the version of me who naturally receives this. You treat yourself with so much care, so much reverence, so much worthiness, that the universe takes note. Desperation evaporates when you realize you are the source. You are not missing anything. You are not running out of time. You are not falling behind. Your desire is not being withheld. It is being prepared. Your job is not to grab it by force, but to match it by frequency. When you begin to walk through the world with that kind of energetic certainty, life softens in your favor. The phone call comes. The offer appears. The right person notices you. Not because you forced it, but because you stopped blocking it. You got out of your own way. You surrendered your fear. You began to embody trust. And trust is the soil where miracles grow. It is the quiet knowing that what's meant for you cannot miss you, and what misses you was never yours to begin with. Eva teaches that trust is the opposite of desperation, and trust must be practiced, not just preached. It shows up in how you speak to yourself when nothing is happening, in how you hold faith when the evidence says otherwise, in how you choose peace over panic again and again. This inner rewiring is the real work of manifestation, not the vision boards, not the 5-step rituals, but the moment-by-moment decision to stay aligned even in the unknown, even in the delay, even in the silence, especially in the silence, because that is where your vibration speaks the loudest. And the universe always responds to your signal. When you finally let go of the chase, when you stop vibrating with desperation and begin to vibrate with deep-rooted faith, you become magnetic, truly magnetic. You stop talking about how much you want it, and you start moving like it's already yours. You shift from doubt to destiny. You become a calm receiver instead of a panicked seeker. And the world around you, like a mirror, long fogged up, begins to reflect that inner shift with breathtaking precision. That is the secret Eva Hartley whispers between the lines of her book. The moment you release desperation, the universe breathes a sigh of relief, because now, finally, you are ready to receive. Number 3. Feeling is the frequency of receiving. If there is one secret that separates those who manifest with ease from those who struggle for years without results, it is this. Feeling is the frequency of receiving. Not thinking, not wishing, not hoping, but feeling deeply, fully in every cell of your being is the true magnet that pulls your desire into your reality. Eva Hartley returns to this truth again and again, not because it is poetic, but because it is the essence of manifestation. The universe responds not to the words you say, but to the emotional tone you live in. You can say 1,000 affirmations with your mouth, but if your heart is soaked in fear and your nervous system is vibrating in lack, then you are not a match for what you want, no matter how beautifully you say it. This is where most people go wrong. They think that manifestation is mental, but it is energetic. They focus on scripting, journaling, and visualizing, all of which are helpful tools. But if they do not engage the emotional body, they are simply writing stories that never leave the page. Eva teaches that your emotions are the language of the universe, and every emotion carries a frequency. Joy vibrates high, gratitude vibrates high, love, certainty, peace, empowerment, all of them operate in the range where manifestation flows easily. But fear, worry, anxiety, jealousy, self-doubt, these drag your frequency down and block your ability to receive. It's not about punishing yourself for low emotions. You are human after all. But it is about becoming conscious of your dominant emotional state and understanding that it is not neutral. Every day, whether you realize it or not, you are sending out a broadcast. That broadcast either says, I trust, or it says, I lack. It either says, I have, or it says, I am still waiting. And the universe does not listen to the content of your prayers. It listens to the energy beneath them. You could pray for abundance every night, but if you live each day in the emotion of fear and financial panic, you are still aligned with scarcity. You are not receiving from your desire, you are reacting from your wound. That's why Eva emphasizes the importance of embodiment. To manifest love, don't just write about your ideal partner. Feel what it would be like to already be in that relationship. Wake up in that energy. Move through your day as if you are already cherished, safe, held, adored. Speak to yourself with the tone of someone who is loved. Dress like someone who is desired. Walk like someone who is not searching but chosen. That feeling, not the story, is what pulls the reality closer. It's the same with money. Don't just visualize wealth. Feel into abundance. What would safety feel like in your body if you knew all your needs were met? What would peace feel like if you didn't have to hustle to survive? What would joy feel like if money flowed with ease, without guilt or shame? That emotional state is the target, and once you feel it consistently, even before the thing arrives, you become the frequency of it. You match the energy of your future, and therefore you meet it in the present. Because manifestation is not a future-based act. It is a now-based alignment. This is the paradox that Eva makes so beautifully clear. You must feel it before it comes. You must be it before you see it. You must live as if, not pretend, not fake, but genuinely embody the emotion of the thing you're calling in. This is where most people get stuck. They wait for the result to give them permission to feel. I'll feel confident once I have success. I'll feel happy once I find love. I'll feel grateful once the money comes. But Eva flips the script. She says, the feeling is not the result. It's the cause. The universe does not reward feelings after the blessing arrives. The universe releases the blessing because you already feel as if it's here. This is why gratitude is so powerful. Not because it's polite, but because it creates a signal of completion. When you say thank you in advance, you tell the universe, I already know it's done. You collapse the timeline between your now and your desire. Gratitude is the feeling of receiving before receiving. And that is a frequency the universe cannot ignore. But this is not easy at first, especially if life has taught you to brace for disappointment. If your nervous system is wired for survival, if your heart has been broken, if your expectations have been crushed again and again, then feeling good can feel dangerous. That's why Eva teaches that this practice of emotional alignment must begin with safety. You must learn to feel good without fear, to feel joy without guilt, to feel worthy without earning it. You train your body slowly, lovingly, gently to hold positive emotion as a safe, natural state. Not something that gets punished, but something that gets multiplied. You allow your inner child, long denied, to believe again, and from that place, you begin to unlock the true power of feeling. It's not performance, it's presence. When you feel like someone who already has what they want, you stop chasing, you stop doubting, you stop questioning whether it's working. Your very vibration says, I am. And that's the most powerful statement in the universe. I am abundant. I am loved. I am whole. Those words, when felt, not just spoken, become the seeds of manifestation. They turn your being into fertile ground. They turn your frequency into a beacon. And life begins to respond. Not always instantly, but inevitably. Because when you hold the right feeling long enough, the outer world eventually matches the inner world. It cannot resist the pull. This is what Eva means when she says that manifestation is a process of becoming, not begging. When you become the emotional match, the desire has no choice but to appear. It's like tuning a radio. If you want to hear classical music, you don't beg the radio to play it. You simply tune to the right frequency. And once you're tuned in, the music is already there. You didn't create it, you aligned with it. In the same way, your dream life already exists, not as fiction, but as frequency. Your job is to feel your way into it, to live as if, to love as if, to lead as if. We are so fortunate to be living in a time where there is so much option and where you feel your way into it. To live as if, to live as if, to live as if, in the way you are, you have to feel your way into it. To be teacher, to be loved, to breathe as if. Every day, not as a chore, but as a sacred practice. And when it gets hard, and it will, you come back to the feeling. Not the image, not the outcome, but the feeling. Because feelings are the fuel, they are the signal, they are the point. This is why people who feel good tend to live good lives. It's not coincidence, it's cause and effect. Your dominant emotional state writes your destiny. That's the message Eva delivers with both compassion and fire. You are already broadcasting your future with every emotion you choose today. So choose wisely, choose boldly, choose consciously. You may not control every thought, but you can guide your focus. You can direct your energy. You can return over and over to the frequency of joy, love, trust, power, peace. Not because the outside is perfect, but because you've decided to be magnetic. You've decided to become a receiver. Not by force, not by fear, but by feeling. And that feeling, that vibration, is the real secret behind every miracle. Number 4, rewrite the subconscious narrative. There is a silent story playing inside you, a hidden script that no one sees but everyone feels. Through the choices you make, the limits you accept, the patterns you repeat, and the dreams you doubt. And Eva Hartley, in her Soul Awakening teachings, reminds us with unwavering clarity that if you don't rewrite the subconscious narrative running your life, no amount of manifesting rituals, affirmations, or visualizations will ever lead to real transformation. Because the subconscious mind is the gatekeeper of your reality, the hidden engine behind every decision, reaction, and emotional default. And what's stored there is not logic but identity, programming and memory etched in from the earliest years of your life when you had no filters, no shields, no critical thinking, only absorption, only open download from the world around you. If as a child you were taught, directly or indirectly, that you are not enough, that love must be earned, that safety comes from control, that money is hard to get, that dreams are dangerous, or that joy is followed by punishment, then those lessons became imprints in your subconscious. And even as an adult, trying to manifest new outcomes, you're still operating on outdated scripts written by pain, fear, and survival. So, in that instance, becoming that person that deserved better, written by pain, fear, and survival. That's why you can want love but keep pushing it away. That's why you can pray for wealth but subconsciously sabotage abundance. That's why you can desire freedom and still feel trapped. Because your subconscious beliefs, the ones you didn't choose but inherited, are creating a ceiling you can't break, a loop you can't exit, until you bring them to the surface and rewrite them with intention, truth, and deep emotional alignment. God doesn't ask us to blame our past. She asks us to become aware of its invisible grip. Because without that awareness, you'll keep confusing your trauma for your truth, your wound for your wisdom, and you'll fight against shadows, thinking they're reality. Your subconscious mind controls up to 95% of your life. That means you're only consciously choosing 5%. The rest is automation, memory, programming, and pattern. And here lies the miracle. What was once programmed into you without your consent, you now have the power to reprogram with deliberate intent. But this isn't surface work. This is soul work. This isn't just changing what you think. It's transforming what you believe to be possible for you at the deepest emotional level. Because until you change who you think you are, you cannot sustainably change what you experience. If your subconscious says, I'm not worthy of love, then no relationship, no matter how beautiful, will feel safe. If your subconscious says, money is dangerous, you will unconsciously repel wealth even while chasing it. If your subconscious says, success makes me alone, you'll self-sabotage every time you close to breakthrough. The subconscious narrative is the thermostat of your life, and no matter how high you consciously turn the dial, you'll always be pulled back to the temperature your inner programming believes is safe. So how do you rewrite it? Eva guides us into this sacred process not through force or denial, but through awareness, compassion, repetition, and emotional realignment. First, you become the observer. You start to catch the inner critic, the scarcity loop, the fear that shows up every time something good begins. You notice the moments you shrink, the stories you tell yourself about why you can't, why it won't work, why it's too late. You journal these thoughts, not to entertain them, but to expose them. Because what is exposed can be healed. Second, you question the source. Where did I first learn this? Second thing, you explore the source. Where did I first learn this? Who told me this? Is this belief mine or is it inherited? Often you'll find that the limiting belief came from a parent's struggle, a teacher's comment, a childhood wound, or a generational pattern passed down without question. But just because it was given to you does not mean it belongs to you. And the moment you separate yourself from the belief, you loosen its grip. Third, you introduce a new narrative, not just in your head, but in your body, in your nervous system, in your emotional landscape. You create affirmations that don't just sound good, but feel safe. I am worthy of love even when I am not perfect. It is safe for me to have more than enough. Success can be peaceful, not stressful. These aren't just words, they are new neurological pathways being carved in your mind, new grooves being created in your reality map. But here's the key. Your subconscious doesn't change through logic. It changes through feeling and repetition. So you must feel these new beliefs emotionally. You must sit with them, breathe them in, repeat them when you're calm and also when you're triggered. You must reparent the scared parts of you that still believe they're not enough, not safe, not lovable. Eva emphasizes this emotional repetition because your subconscious doesn't speak English. It speaks frequency. The more often you flood it with new emotional truths, the more it begins to update your internal programming. This takes time. You don't undo 20 years of fear in 20 minutes of journaling. But every time you choose the new thought, every time you calm your nervous system, every time you anchor into the upgraded belief, you are rewriting the narrative. Not just in your mind, but in your energy field. And as your energy shifts, your results begin to mirror that shift. You'll notice you no longer tolerate chaos. You no longer chase validation. You no longer attach your worth to outcomes. You'll begin to attract different people, different opportunities, not because the world changed, but because you change, the version of you that the world meets. The world responds to your subconscious identity, and when you shift that identity, your whole life realigns. What once felt out of reach now feels natural. What once felt scary now feels exciting. You stop surviving and start receiving. You stop doubting and start allowing. This is the true power of rewriting the subconscious. It frees you from inherited limitation and returns you to your divine potential. It gives you back the pen. It allows you to say, I choose who I am. I choose what I believe. I choose what I allow. And this choice, made daily, becomes your liberation. Eva Hartley calls this energetic rebirth. The moment when you stop living from your wounds and start creating from your worth. And that's not just healing, that's transformation. That's when you stop manifesting from desperation and start manifesting from identity. Not, I want to be abundant, but I am abundance. Not, I hope someone loves me, but I radiate love. Not, I'll be enough when, but I am enough now. And when that becomes your truth, not just intellectually, but emotionally, energetically, spiritually, the universe has no choice but to reflect it. Because your reality is nothing more than a projection of your inner script. Change the script, and the movie changes. Rewrite the subconscious, and the life rewrites itself. This is the work Eva invites you into. Not to become someone new, but to remember who you were before the world taught you to forget, before the fear, before the doubt, before the limitation, that you, whole, powerful, infinite, still lives within you, waiting not to be created, but to be remembered, reclaimed, and rewritten into every page of your story, moving forward. Number 5. Self-worth is the manifestation multiplier. If there is one unseen force that controls the speed, strength, and stability of every manifestation, it is not desire, discipline, or even belief. It is self-worth. And Eva Hartley teaches with unwavering clarity that self-worth is not just a personal issue, it is an energetic currency. It is the hidden switch behind everything you allow or block in your life, and until you update your sense of worth, your reality will always reflect the outdated version of yourself that you secretly believe is all you deserve. Because manifestation doesn't come from begging, hoping, or even working the hardest. It comes from becoming a vibrational match for what you desire. And that match is always rooted in worthiness, in the inner knowing that what you ask for is not just possible, but natural for someone like you. And here's the core truth most people never confront. You are not receiving what you want. You are receiving what you believe you are worthy of. And no matter how many affirmations you chant or vision boards you create, if deep down you feel unworthy of love, of money, of peace, of joy, then you will subconsciously block, delay, or sabotage the very blessings you crave, because your subconscious mind will never let you hold on to something that contradicts your inner identity. And this is why Eva says that healing your self-worth is not optional, it is foundational. It is the ground beneath your manifestations. It is the multiplier. The more worthy you feel, the more you expand your receiving channel, and the faster, fuller, and more gracefully your desires flow into your life. And not because the universe was withholding from you, but because you were unconsciously withholding from yourself. Because when you don't feel worthy, you deflect compliments, you undercharge your gifts, you date people who don't honor you, you stay in jobs that drain you, you say yes when you mean no, you overgive, overproof, over-apologize, and then wonder why the universe isn't responding. But it is. It's responding perfectly to your energetic broadcast, and that broadcast is formed not by what you say, but by how you see yourself, how you speak to yourself, how you hold yourself in your own emotional arms when no one is watching. Because worthiness is not just about self-esteem. It's about self-permission. It's about saying, I allow this level of love, this level of ease, this level of joy. And the moment you give yourself that permission, you shift your entire frequency. Because high self-worth is quiet, calm, and magnetic. It doesn't chase, it attracts. It doesn't beg, it blesses. It doesn't compare, it commands. And this is the inner glow that changes the way the world responds to you. Because people, opportunities, and outcomes are simply mirrors reflecting the way you treat yourself. And if your internal dialogue is laced with shame, guilt, scarcity, and self-rejection, then you are vibrating at a level that cannot support the high-quality manifestations you're asking for. Not because you don't deserve them, but because you won't feel safe enough to receive them, to hold them, to keep them. And this is why Eva teaches that worthiness must be embodied, not just understood. Because you can read every book, attend every seminar, and still feel like an imposter if you haven't addressed the emotional wounds underneath your self-concept. The moments in your life where you learned to believe that your value was conditional, based on performance, perfection, approval, or sacrifice. And those beliefs don't just go away with logic. They have to be rewritten through experience, repetition, and compassionate self-repair. And it starts with choosing to see yourself as